stay still because it might take a few seconds for everybody to just join. The numbers are actually increasing as we speak, so it's fine. And we are recording the session, so it's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, I think we're gonna now come to a point where we need to get running. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the live session number 6, our last session of the live series of the discussion around the citizen economic empowerment law. My name is Muketsi Benedict Tekere. So the protocol for today is very simple. We are looking at about 35 minutes to 40 minutes of discussion. The structure in which your participation can be done is that you can participate in the form of raising your hand or asking questions directly into the chat. We will be able to respond directly to those as Mr. Francisco leads us in this discussion. So for today's presentation, as I mentioned, we have Francisco Kgoboko. I like to say this man is not a man who needs much of introduction. He's a great man in this country who's contributed significantly on the issue of policy. You know, I like to talk a bit about this because you must know this. You know, a lot of us know about the national entrepreneurship policy that went through last year. This is the great work that Francisco actually helped contribute. It was work that he helped to make sure we can do. So I guess his insights here today on the Citizen Economic Empowerment Law will also align strongly in terms of how we support the Botswana as is. So Francisco, over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for this opportunity to participate or take part in the Citizen Economic Empowerment Law, which I think it's an exciting feat for every citizen of this country. But see, my view to this comes from a different perspective. Comes from a perspective that says, yes, this is a very much welcome opportunity for every citizen of Botswana to have a citizen economic empowerment law. But it is very prudent that we define exactly what we mean by a citizen. Who is this law supporting? who is this law going to solve? Whose problem is this law going to solve? We are actually coming from a perspective where citizens have always been helping the foreign direct investors into the country. They assist them, they create way for them. But the citizens are not necessarily benefiting as entrepreneurs within this space. So today we will have to actually look at, I think maybe it's not for me, but it is something that we need to ask or help guide the law by saying we have to really define who a citizen is. Is a citizen a person that just holds an omang? Or is a citizen a person that is a citizen of Botswana by birth? Or is a citizen that we are addressing here going to be someone that one of their parents is a Botswana by descent or birth, or both? Because the reason why I'm bringing this at the beginning is that we need to solve a problem that we exist currently in our country, where we have some of the businesses that are geared or that we would like to see in Botswana's hands, that we know very well that Botswana are capable of running. We find them in the hands of the foreigners. Those are foreign investors. But how are we going to make sure that we ensure that we onboard Botswana into these businesses without necessarily them being, pushed back by this foreign owned businesses? Because what we need to make sure we do is Botswana businesses need to know that can I speak into John?
Yes, you can code switch, it's fine.
Yes. Ha ke tsena mo Botswana ke le Motswana ke tsena mo businessing ya go rekisa dikoloi tse di kgologolo, imported cars ya ka tsa di second hand. Ke ithela me pele ga mo no go na di license tse di ntshitsweng tse di neetsweng Batswakwa ka bontsi. A ra go dira jang ya anong gore re di license tsotlhe tse di ntseng dirang ha di le di mo matsogong a Batswakwa di size go operate, re di license hela tsotlhe tse lo ditabo di simolla e tabele tsa Batswana he. Ha o le Motswakwa o na le kgwebo ya go nna yalo o e establish it ka gore ra itse gore kgwebo eo e na le babele o na le bareki mo go yone, ra re a Motswakwa a rekisetse Motswana kgwebo eo yotlhe ka bo yone ka ntse ha e le sengwe a Motswakwa a taberekele Motswana. So selo se se botlhokwa thata ka gore re tshwanetse gore re define gore Motswana ke o mme ga e ka ke we shouldn't just take Botswana as Botswana who have got a citizenship here, because anybody, even some investors come yesterday and they apply for citizenship and they get given citizenship, they're automatically Botswana. But this is not the large populace that we are trying to solve the problem here. So how are we going to get there? How is the Citizen Economic Empowerment Law going to empower indigenous Botswana? Botswana basically, I mean, if you may allow me to use that word, it's very, very key, because if we can't get to that point, we are going to get to a point where we realize that ha Motswana a simolola a le ko motsane wa Zwensambo a le ko Bobirwa a batla go simolola kgwebo ye leng gore mo matsogong a Batswakwa ba tlile go mo elbow out of that business, because one is they're already established, two, they have got more money than a Motswana, three, how are our institutions, especially our venture capital institutions, our angel investor networks within Botswana, going to support those locals who are first timers in the industry?
Right.
Because if we can't do that, we would be fooling ourselves. We'll have a law, yes and amen. So we need to ensure that this law is a law that is addressing citizens at all corners. For example, even if you look at agriculture, agricultural land, a farm in, say, Kwening, a 6,000, maybe not 6,000, maybe a 3,500 to 4,000 hectare plot. In Kweneng, farm will cost maybe 6 million pula. But the same size property at home in Tuli Block, where I'm from, which is predominantly foreign owned, would cost 10 times that amount. But I mean, you would be doing the very same thing that you're doing. You've got access to the same wild animals that they have, and sometimes even more on the Kweneng side with access to the sea cage here.
Yeah, sorry, Francisco. All those who just joined, please just mute yourself. Okay, you can go ahead. You can go ahead, Francisco.
Yeah, sorry about that. So what we have to look at on this one is what is it that we're doing for citizens to allow citizens to be able to participate in the space unhindered? What is it that government is going to do to provide the vehicles that are much needed by the investors who are going to take over those businesses, which were previously open to even foreign nationals only? Because that's where we have to start from my perspective. If we can't define that, who a citizen is and how it is that we are going to bridge the gap for the new upcoming investors who are now Botswana, who don't have any experience, some of them don't even have experience in running the same business before, which means they will still need mentorship, which means they will still need access to angel investors who their interest is to make sure that you have, you know, a minimum viable product produced and get your product to market and be able to pay them back. And then you can scale up the project. Most of the time, angel investors are not even interested in meddling around with you running a business. All they do is give you support, all the support that you need to be able to grow. How are we going to make sure that this law empowers all these arms for an investor to be able to thrive?
Right.
How are we making sure that this is not just a political game? You're calling it, you're saying you're putting a citizen economic empowerment law, but on the other hand, you have every foreigner saying, no, I'm applying for citizenship so that I can continue running my second-hand car dealership. So I think for me, that is very, very important that we have to unravel from the beginning. If we can't clearly define who is going to be a citizen and how are we going to then empower those citizens with the existing, I mean, are we going to now all of a sudden, what policy are we going to bring in COSIDA that will make sure that says, I mean, 30 million is not a whole lot because even stock second-hand dealership is more than 30 million. How are we going to make sure that we've got proper venture capital, either government or private driven?
We expect that you are mindful of the fact that individual schools at their level have also been procured.
Okay, I think this is what we are gonna do. I sense that, you know, the audience is burning with a lot of questions. They would like to, you know, say some stuff. So at this juncture, I think I'll ask Reference to hold it. For him, if we haven't defined he doesn't see this law taking foot. He would also like to really have instruments that go in line with this law, where the ordinary Motswana, regardless of where they are, can actually benefit. So, and he's mentioned on the issue, access to finance for him. He sees angel investing as a game changer, something that should be a part of the instrument. He doesn't feel the traditional institutions are actually doing their job. So I think at this juncture, let me open up for the audience for about 5 minutes so that you can have your commentary, and then Rev Francisco will respond. Please, there's at the bottom of your screen, there's a chat box. You can write your question there, or you can raise your hand, and then we unmute you, and then you can meaningfully participate. Kuahile, I'm going to unmute you because I see you had started saying something. Kuahile Smith, I've unmuted you. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Ranya, TV. I'm just new to the meeting. I get what is it all about? So I'm still here to what's so in a person
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have muted you. Ishmael says, where can I get the recordings? Well, there's a YouTube channel where all the this as I mentioned, for those that joined late, this session is being recorded. 10 minutes after this session actually ends, there will be a recording that goes straight into YouTube. We'll put up the link. You can listen to it and put in your own comment into that. I think let's if there's somebody else, yeah, there you
go. If there's no one,
you can go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I've just got a quick question. I think you guys been talking about angel investors and like venture capitalists around Botswana, but like I haven't really heard much about those back in Botswana. Do you have like networks for those? And if so, how does somebody like an aspiring entrepreneur goes around and making connections with those people? Do you have such communities like readily available?
Okay, we have noted that. Rev Francisco will respond to that. Let's come back to the others. To actually participate is very easy. All you need to do is raise a hand at the bottom of your screen. Then we'll be able to unmute you from here so that you can have your comment. Okay, Rev Francisco, I think you can proceed with the other point that you wanted to say.
Well, the next point that I wanted to address is it is my view that women entrepreneurs are going to be very critical to economic growth going forward. So how is our law going to address that part of women? We know very well that women are very good family. They grow our families. All our families are run by women. They've got, I mean, I think Forbes, I've gone through a study on Forbes, an article on Forbes that even indicated that, women-led businesses, have a much higher chance to survive. But how are we, without necessarily talking women empowerment, but how are we going to ensure that our law caters for women as well?
Yes, maybe before we have somebody who wants to comment. Techno, I've just unmuted you. Please go ahead. Somebody had raised their hand. Okay, Rev Francisco, please go ahead. I'm just going to mute that person back.
Yeah. Okay. Then the other one is, when it comes to venture capital, the funding, in fact, significant inequalities still exist. In 2017, all men teams attracted nearly 80% of capital, while companies founded by all women received only 2% of funding. This shows that companies founded by women hardly get the investment that they deserve. how are we going to make sure that in our law, what is it that we need to bring in? And I'm asking the audience, what hooks should we be putting in our law to ensure that our women citizens are able to grow from only getting 2% of the business to getting at least 50% of the business? Here, all men are getting 80% of the business.
Right.
Is there anyone who wants to give us advice? Because I don't want these things to be my views. And that's why we have this. Or how can men become better allies to women? Partnerships, business partnerships of men and women. How could we do it better so that we are able to support our women entrepreneurs?
Okay, maybe we have Kojana Tsupo. I think you want to say something, Kojana. Do you want to go ahead? We have unmuted you. Okay, Magdalene, I've lowered your head. You can go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Maleche, sorry, Maleche Tsepo, yes, sorry. You can go ahead.
Yeah, how are you doing, Francisco? I think the biggest challenge that I see in Botswana is that we have very good policies, but we don't encourage people to open up markets in SADC that could make the funding go much further than it would in Botswana. Because if you notice something about the continent, you'll notice that most of the successful businesses in Botswana are businesses where people are exporting into the continent, right? And as you had mentioned, a lot of foreigners have businesses here in Zambia and Namibia. You know, there are a lot of good examples of that. So I think sometimes when I look at our funding schemes, we focus too much on a small market where it becomes very difficult for people to scale up. We need to start getting funders who would say to somebody, let us try expand into the region and see how you can grow your enterprises. So that would be my first comment. And on women, I think perhaps a lot of women, we may have to discuss with them and look at their mindsets, because you find that most of the very successful women don't often go and try get funding conventionally. Most of them are very innovative in the way they finance their enterprises. So I suppose that somewhere we need to look at the fact that, are we attracting women to come and take up these funding opportunities? So those would be my two comments. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, do we have any other comment? Please just raise your hand or just type it in the chat box. It's very important that this be as engaging as possible, so that reference his perspective based on what we are thinking. And for those that are joining, we are talking about the Citizen Economic Empowerment Law. Francisco has shared his own perspective, and I would like to allow him to say some words. Yes, Francisco, back to you, sir.
Yes. There's one guy that asked about angel investors. I mean, the angel investors are around in Botswana. We have been working at this thing for many years. I think you are fortunate that Tekere here has been working together with me in the best interest of Botswana, angel investors. And we have seen, I think a year ago, at the global, what do you think? The
Global Entrepreneurship Congress, yes.
No. The one where we agreed to set up a Botswana Angel Investment Network. The one that was run by BITC.
Yes, the Global Expo. Yes, what we were actually,
Global
yes, Global Expo through the National Strategy Office. Yes.
Through the National Strategy Office and Botswana Innovation Hub. We then got to at that meeting, we had at the meeting where we ended up agreeing that we're going to set up the Botswana Business Angels Network, but together with a number of Botswana investors. But what we have also seen is that they are, for example, we are linked to a lot of investors around the globe. Some not sitting in Botswana, but they are interested in cross-border investments. We invest in all markets, be it in Nigeria, be it in Europe, be it in America. But we invest as a group. So because we have got different skill sets, we have got different understanding, we then would buy in a small percentage of obviously having done a due diligence. If you have got a pitch, we would welcome you to pitch in our network. And then we form syndicates with all these angel investors across the globe. And then you pitch to us just like we're pitching today. And over a time, we then do go out to engage our lawyers in the country of your region. We engage accountants to audit your financials, and then we pitch. Then we also evaluate your business as much as you give us your business value, and we say we are taking 5%, and we give you cash for 5%, and we are just going to be observers in your board. We're not even going to sit. So these are there. If you are interested, you must link up with us. But unfortunately, I don't think I've taken much participation with the Botswana business angel investors. I think what is going to be important is Botswana must lead these enterprises for them to actually have the image of Botswana that we want to see. And I think that's one of the things that will have to be addressed by this law. Otherwise, if you guys are going to sit back but wanting to be able to take part and get your ideas to go more beyond ideation to where you can produce minimum viable products and grow, be a startup, then be a scale up to a point where you're going to be a unicorn, you need to start at home. Yes,
maybe before you go there, there's Mr. Setso Mutang who would like to ask or make a comment. Ramutang, we've given you the floor. Please go ahead.
Oh, all right, guys. I don't know if what I'm about to ask has already been covered. I also joined a bit late. But based on my observation, I've realized that one of the biggest detrimental factors to citizen enterprises progressing would be this mentality from fellow Botswana that buying something international makes it quality. Therefore, they don't get support. So I think in as much as they see the economic law, empowerment law might work, if the demand from locals has not been changed, or their paradigm of thinking that international things are still superior to local things, the enterprises might also suffer in terms of demand. So the question will be, how do we work around that paradigm that has been there over time? Because we've been buying from outside for a long time, and this might be detrimental.
Can I clear up something? What I'm hearing you clearly saying is that in the Citizen Economic Empowerment Law, we must also stipulate clearly that the products we buy must be products from Botswana by Botswana first. If you have not exhausted that quota that is available in the country, don't buy anything that's coming from foreign. So then we will value Botswana.
Yeah, actually, Francois, I was going to comment and say, yesterday we had on the panel one of the innovators called Martin Stimela, and he mentioned this, that when they develop product, ya M-Agri, ya Mpotsa, Botswana ka bone would say, Homa o bereki kanti ke nlesa tisi Facebook, all that. So how do we get to a point where this instrument actually caters for locally developed solutions? So I like that you have addressed that perspective. But how are we going to do it? Because this seems to be, for me, it seems as if Botswana ka bobone ba ka re ba na le mowa wa go sabata gore Batswana ba bangwe ba succeed. So that mindset, how are we going to make sure the law opens up for us to believe this thing is looking one Motswana ka bereka, then it scale. Because as you also mentioned, Francisco, just to add you, anybody who's going to invest in anything says Botswana, so is a marketing. So if you can't scale in your own country where you come from, you have been rejected. It's few cases that you can see where people have gone out and made it, but we need to change that paradigm where we start locally. So maybe you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Motang also hit it right on the nail. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The most important space to start with is who is a citizen and who are we solving a problem for here with. I think some of those that have been a part of this from the time that we conceptualized the policy hacks almost 5-6 years ago to where the first policy hack got implemented a year ago, over a year ago. Has been, we would appreciate that has been the key cornerstone of us wanting to have a law that is influenced by policy. Therefore, we must say, even if it's, what the government has to understand is that failure is part of a success. So we're going to try prototypes of Botswana produced goods and services we of our economy from our startups. So one of the deliberate interventions is invest directly in Botswana by saying that we are going to buy it from Botswana as much as we're expecting global standard, but you can never expect a Botswana who doesn't come from Silicon Valley incubators to be able to produce a prototype that is at the level of that one of a guy that is coming from an incubation, as it will be it even in a garage, but they have got a complete support system from Silicon Valley. We don't have Silicon Valley here in Botswana, but we are buying, government is buying. And one of the areas I think is to be very clear. The biggest buyer is government. In the law, we must be very clear. Government and parastatals must all buy Botswana first. Even if it's a product that is being produced outside, that product must be sold to a Botswana. If anything, the subcontractor must be someone that is coming out. Botswana should be able to import the skills that they need to be able to be successful in Botswana, in whatever venture that they are. At the same time, forcing skill transfer to a local Botswana, because we have all the skill sets. I mean, we've got all graduates here.
Right. Maybe I allow Tsepo at this point while we have only about 5 minutes to wrap up. Tsepo, you wanted to make a comment or a question to Francisco? We have unmuted you, Tsepo. Malesela, please go ahead.
Francisco, that you need, can you hear me? Yes, I agree with Francisco when he says that people have to succeed in Botswana before they can look to markets outside. But I think my agri is a good example of an enterprise that had no backing from anybody. And out of nowhere, they've just become the company that they are today. But that is like a 1 in 1,000 chance, to be honest. And 1 in 1,000, I give you those odds because I want to show you how difficult it is, right? So Francisco, maybe because you speak to the people who are in higher positions, they have to ensure, we've got more than 50 parastatals in Botswana, more than 50. If they cannot purchase products from genuine Botswana, enterprises will not grow. And that would just be my final comment.
I think what we are saying here is, let's put it in the citizen economic empowerment law that it's, nobody's going to ask who, all they ask is, are you a Botswana? Are you Botswana Sekei? If it's Sekei, should demonstrate to us that, are you black? If we are now saying black economic empowerment, because they need to clarify. It must be very clear, because I think the disadvantaged are the blacks in this country. So, I mean, and we are the majority. So these citizens, the majority of the citizens are black. So I think this law has to be as blunt as it could be. But nonetheless, we should also think of a united Africa, because obviously our population is 2 million. Our buying power is probably about 600,000 in the whole country. And therefore, we also have to rely on growing our enterprises beyond borders. So if you are farming, you must farm such that you can sell part of your animals to your brother in Nigeria, sometimes even out of Africa. So we must first trust the products, African-produced products ourselves. So the Citizen Economic Empowerment Law also must stipulate that the government will also trust the products and services that are produced by Botswana.
Right. So I think at this juncture I would like. Yes, 30 seconds. We are really behind time. Please make it very short as possible.
Okay, Nager, it's on to address how do they address aggressive competition from international markets? Because our local manufacturers are penetrate the market because there's aggressive competition. Who bula factory who ira di pizza mo Botswana we rekisa 100 pula mo China go ta rekisa 50 pula tswa go China. So it should have that clause here. How does it protect us from setting up those industries and they actually buying them from us compared to an alternative via an international market? It's at a lower price. Because the reason why when I like a manufacturer, like a startup industry, there is aggressive competition from the Chinese. Or they offer those products at an extremely lower price. Okay. So it's a good idea. At the end of the day, it's never viable because of the raw materials, the market dynamics that make sense.
I think what I'm hearing also there is we need to have a veto power, maybe not veto, but your organizations of manufacturers of ports or coders need to have a say on a product that is going to be imported before it can be imported. It must be can we produce this product locally? It must be there that before you can procure anything from outside, the organization, the local organization or cooperative of jewelry manufacturers in Botswana or port manufacturers or teachers must actually have a say and say, no, you can import teachers.
30 seconds, Francisco, last words.
I think we need to take advantage of this law as Botswana and make sure that we contribute. We must go back onto our Facebooks, give me ideas, share with me those ideas that you have. This is not the only place that we want to give all these views that you are coming from you back to government so that government can implement our policy makers, our members of parliament. When they actually enact the law, they're enacting a law that will be able to address all our needs.
Thank you, Chief. For those that need to access, the YouTube link has been shared into the chat box. We will continue this series based on your demand. Your demand will make sure we have the next sessions. So on behalf of the group and everybody, thank you so much.